Lindsay from My Crafty Plans. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Happy Planmas! I am super excited. We are approaching the end of the year and it's time for me to get my journal set up for next year. So this is the Archer and Olive square notebook that I picked out to try for journaling this year. If you saw my planner lineup video, I've got a few other notebooks as well, but I'm leaning towards this being my main journal. I'm really excited to try out this size, which is a new size to me for this year. So we're gonna set up in here, make a little cover page and an index, and then I thought it would be really fun to start this out with a recap of the last year. So I've printed out some book stickers, cover stickers of just some of my favorite things from this year. We're gonna do like a 2023 highlights recap type spread, which is one, a really fun way to kick this journal off, two, a great way for me to recap some of the things that I've been loving this year, and three, it's gonna be really reflective of the style of journaling that I'm hoping to bring more into my life in the year ahead, and particularly in this notebook. So I thought that would be super fun. This is gonna be sped up with a voiceover. I'm gonna talk about all my favorite things while I do some crafty journaling. So I started with the cover page. I just wanted a pretty simple setup, and I have these really pretty floral stickers from Live Life Posh that I'm gonna use this and like throughout the spreads. I also grabbed a couple of sheets of journaling stickers from Hello Petite Paper to bring in. I have some pens and markers as well from Archer and Olive, and also some zebra brush pens, just kind of like mixing it up here. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. I initially had pulled out a bunch of craft paper, but I didn't end up using it. I definitely want to do some craft paper spreads in here, but I have not done that style of spread since like my scrapbooking days back in the day, and I was like a little nervous about it, and I just kind of wanted to sit down. I already had like a bunch of different things that I printed, and I just kind of forgot what I was doing. Plus I had these big stickers that I ended up using. So anyway, we will continue to experiment in here. One of the things that I want for this journal is for it to be like very experimental stylistically, and just try out all different new styles and things like that, and just following all new people on Instagram and here on YouTube to get like different inspirations and try different kinds of journaling spreads in here. So I'm really excited for that. I think this square sheet is really fun for that. Also making more of my own stuff, like similar to the book stickers, which I did make for this. I made some really large book stickers for this, and then also some like TV and music covers and different things. And then I just did this really simple cover page with these purple and blue florals, and then that is a zebra doodler brush pen, which I've really been loving these brush pens lately, and I have just like a nice basic rainbow color set of them, and I'm going to use them throughout. I used this blue one here, trying to have fun with it. After this, I'm going to set the very last page to be a pen test page, and then create that index page. I did decide for the numbering to start on the page after this, and just to do one page number per double wide spread. So like page 1 is the full open page next to this. You'll see me write it down. And I end up doing page 1 and 2 with my favorites from 2023. And in case you couldn't tell from the stickers, this is all books, TV shows. I did like one movie, some podcasts, and then a bunch of music stuff. So it's really like media consumption, I would say. Also meant to include more podcasts, but I kind of got sidetracked at the end and then forgot. And I don't really have that many podcasts that I listen to right now. I'm desperately seeking more podcasts. And then also, I guess I could have done like favorite YouTube channels and different things like that. That would have been fun. Maybe I will have to add that in later, but I did not do that for today. The first spread we're going to work on after this pen test page and index is my book spread, where I just picked my favorite 3 books of the year. This was very strategic. So far as of December 19th, have read 71 books this year. It's actually 71 and a half because I'm halfway through another book. Does not include books, novels that I read out loud to the kids, any rereads that I've done from previous year, and also I know that there are some Kindle Unlimited romance and cozy mystery novels, which I read quite a lot of, that I've totally forgotten to track or just like didn't really feel were worthwhile for tracking. Typically with the Kindle Unlimited consumption, unless it's like 4 or 5 stars, I kind of just forget about it and move on. Of those 71 books that I've tracked, I gave approximately 12 5 stars. I definitely have a number 1 overall favorite read of the year. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, this one probably won't come as a surprise. It's A Strange and Stubborn Endurance. I've talked about this book multiple times. But I was struggling with like a top 5 or a top 10 list or anything like that. And then I was starting to get into this problem where I feel like some of my 4 reads were overall more enjoyable than some of my 5-star reads. My ratings are pretty much just all vibes. I probably could use a little bit of a retooling on my ratings process. I probably won't do it though. It's very vibes heavy. Anyway, the 3 books that I ultimately went with for this list, each are really special and favorited in their own way. And so I just kind of went with these categories. So as my ultimate favorite for the year, which is going to get its whole own page over on the left-hand side, we have A Strange and Stubborn Endurance. Again, this is an absolutely beautiful, arranged marriage, political intrigue, queer fantasy romance. And it is just such a special book. It's dual POV. The world building is amazing. The characters are amazing. I just loved everything about this. I read it, I think, 4 times this year. One of those was listening on audiobook. There is also a second book in this series that is out now, which I also loved and gave 5 stars. I don't love it as much as the first book, but it's still really strong and beautiful. As always, when I am recommending this book, I will tell you to check the trigger warnings before you read this one. This one is definitely a book where you should check. Something about this book and the style and everything just really resonated with me this year, and it's just absolutely like my favorite thing that I have read or consumed. It just absolutely haunts me. This book lives 100% rent-free in my head, and I'm already planning another reread of it, and then I'm going to reread the second one again for my first reread of that one. But objectively speaking, and from a literary perspective, the best thing that I read last year was Remarkably Bright Creatures. This is my go-to recommend anyone book. Like, if I don't know anything about your reading style, or if you don't read a lot of romance or fantasy, I'm just going to recommend you this book. It's incredible. I absolutely love this. I've also reread this one, I think just one time, but I should probably do another reread of it as well. This is an interconnected strangers type book, so there's multiple POVs, and then all the storylines kind of come together in the end. And it enters around a woman working in an aquarium who builds a friendship with an octopus who is very intelligent. There are a few chapters in this book told from the perspective of the octopus. Just a heads up on that. I actually recommended this book to both my parents, and my dad was a little tripped up by part of the story being told by the octopus. It's not, I wouldn't describe this as fantasy. There's just like a slight magical realism element there with the octopus, but in general, I would not describe this as fantasy. It's very much literary fiction. And yeah, it was absolutely beautiful and wonderful. And it also just, while I was like thinking of how to describe this book, because it is a little bit difficult to describe to people, I realized that there is definitely a recurring theme through all 3 of these books, which I believe would be healing from trauma, which is interesting that my 3 favorites of the year all heavily feature that theme. I don't really feel like I am necessarily healing from any big trauma right now, but for some reason that was a theme that I gravitated towards in books for the year. The third book, which I called my most surprising, was The Honeys. I loved this, and it's not a genre I usually read. I didn't go into this thinking I was gonna love it, and this book just really, really surprised me. So this is a YA horror thriller book, and horror is not a genre I consume like at all, ever, in any way. I am such a scaredy cat usually. But I absolutely love this. The vibes in this book are just so good. It's so atmospheric, and I just really loved everything about it. The very violent death of their twin sister, a non-binary teen takes the sister's place at summer camp in order to investigate her state of mind and kind of what happened. And this book is crazy. And like I said, I don't usually read horror, but I just absolutely love this. I just read so many good books this year, and especially a lot of fantasy. This was definitely a very strong fantasy read year for me. And I read a lot of romance too. I don't find that the romance books tend to like stick with me as long as the fantasy and literary fiction books do. I don't know why that is, but I think it's probably the romance novels that I gravitate towards tend to be like very light and carefree. That is definitely what I'm looking for in a romance book, versus like I will tackle heavier themes in some of these other genres. These are the 3 books that I've probably spent the most time thinking about this year. And it's funny because I always say like my kind of definition of a 3-star book is I enjoyed it while I was reading it, and then like by a week later I could not tell you anything about it or what it was about. Prior to starting book journaling this year, I was like the queen of accidental rereads. I would get like a third of the way through a book and be like, I'm pretty sure I already read this. That has not happened once this year, which is a great unexpected consequence of book journaling. But these are like the opposite of that. Like read them once and just can't stop thinking about them, know the whole story by heart, and just absolutely consuming my brain. So those are my 3 picks for the year. And that was how I did my book spread. Just going to add in a last little bit of color here. I am going to keep doing my like monthly book recaps in my family organizer plan with me's in that monthly journal / planner that I have, but I will be pulling out special books or certain themes, different things like that, and doing more spreads like this in this journal throughout the year, and I will definitely be sharing some of that with you as well. So then on this page, I put the other medias here. So I wanted to do the same thing for books, but for TV shows. But I could not think of any TV shows it was so hard to think of TV shows that I liked. I feel like this year was so weak for TV. I could only think of 2 like regular traditional type shows that were my favorites, and that was Reservation Dogs and Succession. And they're both actually in their final season this past year. And Reservation Dogs especially, it was just my #1 favorite. I absolutely loved this show so much. It's only 3 seasons long, and the episodes are only 30 minutes, like very bingeable. It's on Hulu. It's an FX show, and it's so special. Unique. It centers around a group of teenagers living on a Native American reservation in Oklahoma. Slice of life that I am so unfamiliar with that I think a lot of people are. It's completely foreign and yet so familiar, and the show is just really, really lovely and heartfelt, and also very funny as well. The episodes are only about 30 minutes long, and there are 3 seasons, 10 episodes each. Definitely recommend checking this out if you haven't already. And then Succession is on HBO or on Max, and it's just a really incredible show. All of the seasons are amazing, and this was the last season, so that felt worth celebrating as well. All of those are shows that my husband and I have on our like best TV of the year list. We really enjoy watching them together, and they were both on their last season, so definitely worth celebrating that in a little spread. I couldn't think of a third TV show that I had really loved that much this year, so I decided to also shout out the Wes Anderson Roald Dahl short story adaptations on Netflix. There's, I think, 4 or 5 different shorts that he's done. The longest is the Henry Sugar, and that one is like about 35 minutes. Most of the other ones are only around like 15, 20 minutes long. You do definitely check these out, and they're just adaptations with star-studded adaptations, because it is Wes Anderson, of Roald Dahl short stories. So really, really great. And Poison and Henry Sugar were my 2 favorites of those. And Poison in particular, I was just literally on the edge of my seat the entire time I was watching it. So it was just really, really cool. Also, just wanted to shout out the Barbie movie, which one I absolutely loved. Super enjoyable, but also I don't even remember the last time I went to see a movie in the movie theater, no kids, and actually no husband either. I went with girlfriends to see this movie. It was just such a fun experience, and that also felt worthwhile to shout out. Again, I think the movie stands on its own, but seeing it in like a crowded theater, we went the second weekend, not the opening weekend, but with friends, with a girlfriend that I particularly used to play Barbies with all the time. It was just a really special experience. And then the rest of this, I did stuff from Spotify. Again, I had meant to put more podcasts on here, but I'm not like super obsessed with any podcasts right now. But my kids are really obsessed with this Storyland podcast, which is just like short stories for kids. We listen to them in the car a lot. If you've got like early elementary or toddler age kids, definitely check this out. Most of the stories are like 5 to 10 minutes long, and they usually have multiple parts, and there's no commercials or anything. It's just a really fantastic kids story podcast. And then the rest, I just dedicated this to music and kind of my interpretation of my Spotify Wrapped, because my whole family, like me, my husband, and the kids all share Spotify account. So I have to like take some things out of it, because one of our top artists this year was Enya, and that is like 100% my 8-year-old daughter. I do not like Enya. I actually can't stand listening to it, but she's like obsessed with Spotify music and loves to like listen to it when she's going to sleep or in the bath. Taylor Swift was our #1 artist of the year, and 1989 is my favorite album. So really cool to get a Taylor's version of that. And then I just listed out some of my most listened to songs. Some of this is driven by me. I am definitely a song listened to again and again person. But also some of this is by kids, because if like we find a really good song that we like and then the kids like it, then they'll start requesting it. And then it just kind of becomes like, you know, I would say probably a lot of those minutes were spent listening to like the same 20 songs over and over again. So I just listed some of them out and then just kind of threw some color in there as well. This was just super fun to put together and to think about, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing more journaling spreads in the new year. All right, that is everything all finished up. This was so fun. Like, just what a lovely way to spend an afternoon. So there is my journal cover page, my little book spread, and my other kind of TV and music and podcasting favorites. I'm definitely going to have to practice more with different styles in here and just have some more fun with it, but I really, really am very happy. Especially this book one. I think that's really, really cute. So anyway, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed doing a little bit of journaling and recapping with me. Let me know your favorite book or movie or podcast from the year down in the comments below. I definitely need more things to read and watch and listen to, particularly if you have a good podcast recommendation. Thanks so much for watching. Come back tomorrow. It's still Planmas, so more videos to come. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and you can check me out on Instagram and TikTok at mycraftyplants, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!